That's going to mean when that pops, you're really going to have to push that in to get into your acceleration. Right, kneeling drills for acceleration. We can use a constraint, which is starting in various kneeling positions to encourage good acceleration mechanics, namely good projection angles, deep shin angles, and a sequential extension of the hip, knee, and somewhat at the ankle. But we really want to concentrate on hip extension here, and this is one of the beauties of these drills. Another thing it encourages is the push in acceleration, and what you'll often hear people encouraging beginners to do in acceleration is to learn to push. So it's a great beginner drill for that reason. So we're going to start with half kneeling, the half kneeling drill. So I'm going to show you this now. We're going to get into a half kneeling position here. Back knee needs to be relatively close into the front heel. Now, if you want to encourage a longer first stride, move the knee a little bit further backwards. But for most people, you'll want to be about here. We want to lean over the thigh and then accelerate. A little something like this. The fact that the athlete is in that deep, slightly compromised position to push with quite large joint angles means they have to feel the first extension through their hip, which really encourages conscious pushing through acceleration, which is why it's a great drill for beginners. Drill number 2 is the reverse lunge to half kneeling sprint. We add some motion to the half kneeling sprint now, so the athlete isn't completely static when they start. The key point here is for the athlete to hit the same positions they did in the half kneeling drill, adding some motion to it. Let's go. So number 3, we have the forward lunge, reverse lunge, half kneeling sprint. Now the lunge is a floating lunge, meaning we're not going to pop up and back in between lunges. We're going to come through and we're going to float. The reason we're doing that is we're trying to encourage hip extension before knee extension. So the sequential extension of the lower limb during acceleration is very important that it's hip dominant. A lot of people snap the knee early. Also, at the end of extension, the knee extending is a transitional movement. So it transitions from the extension into the retraction and the flexion of the next swing cycle. So this is what this drill encourages. Cool. Looks a little something like this. Number 4, full kneeling sprint. This is where it starts to get difficult, and not all of you will be able to do this. But what it really does is encourage super aggressive shin angles and hip extension. Because the knee is in such a compromised position when we pick up off the floor, everything has to be hip dominant. It's very hard to fully extend the knee. Looks a little something like this. So I'm having some slippage problems. Obviously on a surface like this, or even on the track, using spikes or cleats can help with this movement. You're in such a deep angle here, when the shin pops and you've got to push back, it's very easy to slip. So I'm going to bolster my heels and go up against this post here. So the idea of the full kneeling sprint is you pop your thighs up and you push forward in one go. Number 5, hardest drill of the lot. Many of you won't be able to do this, but I encourage any of you that have done number 4 to give this a go. So this is a full half kneeling sprint. That's a confusing name, but it looks a little something like this. Pop my shoes off for extra traction. So same concept as the full kneeling, but we only have one foot on the floor. That's going to mean when that pops, you're really going to have to push that hip to get into your acceleration.